Today I am explaining why the cause of the huge drop in birth rates and why I personally think it's totally valid. Specifically, I'll be talking about the USA, as although pretty much every country has this specific problem, USA is currently being impacted very, you know, impacted quite severely. Um, and it's just a lot easier for me to explain it for the USA. So, getting on, we should simply explain the financial and economic reasons as to why the birth rate is dropping. So, as you may know, the minimum wage in America is $7.25. However, it's been like this since 2009. Unfortunately for Americans, this means the wage does not match inflation and has not matched inflation for well over a decade now. This means that even though they are being paid the minimum legal wage, they cannot afford basic necessities. And obviously, without basic necessities, you really shouldn't have a child. It's just, one, it'll be more difficult for yourself, and two, it'd simply be cruel on said child. Um, Second of all, medical bills are just simply disgusting. They um they just ridiculously high. I remember one time I saw someone's medical bill and it was $48,000 for a child, and she was charged three times for what was basically the same thing but with new wording each time. And the unfortunate case for people who live in America is that that is just considered cheap, which really shouldn't be a good thing, considering obviously the UK healthcare is not as good, since obviously it takes a long time to get into the hospital for appointments and such. However, at least it is free. The Something that I really wish Donald Trump would just allow the healthcare to be free, and there is obviously more reasons I would like to go over now. Well, number three, the oh god, I forgot. um, oh right, scummy tactics from businesses such as insurance companies and all sorts of stuff. They'll do effectively anything to just avoid paying insurance. They are willing to go to court. They will do all sorts, and just they'll find any way to just not do their job while still making sure you pay for insurance. Um, Fourth off, there is obviously the significant problem with taxpayer dollars. Said dollars should be going into rebuilding healthcare and everything along said lines. However, it's obviously not being done properly, as you may know that Donald J. Trump wants to build a ballroom. That's assuming he hasn't already done so, but I doubt it. Which obviously is coming out of taxpayer dollars, which is just not fair on American citizens. Um, And I might mention the other reasons, but for now I've forgotten said reasons. So let's get on to the social part and justice, or more to speak, the lack of justice in America. Um, Obviously, it is, despite the fact that we have, as a society, have moved forward, it seems like we are regressing almost. And unfortunately, that is shown through, you know, politicians wanting abortion to be illegal, and unfortunately, sexual assault causing pregnancy, which, by the way, it doesn't matter if it causes pregnancy or not. Please, for the love of God, nothing condones sexual assault. Um, or pressuring someone, or sexual harassment, or really just anything. You're a genuinely disgusting human being if you do anything like this, but unfortunately, it is very common where, despite the fact that it shouldn't be a problem at all, women unfortunately get raped, and it causes pregnancy, and abortion is simply just expensive. Not to mention, I have found stories of times where people have gotten their wife pregnant and then left at the 4 month mark once obviously abortions aren't possible. That is more a case of justice, but when it comes to social, it's simply because, well, people look down on pregnancy. Like, as much as you might not see it, it happens. People genuinely are willing to sexualize, look down on, or even discriminate against pregnancy, despite the fact that I simply just, it's immoral. Um, uh, and obviously, there's just all this stuff. Not to mention, people are evil and unfortunately bringing a child into this world, even if the economy was good. There's just genuinely despicable people out there who, unfortunately, are willing to take advantage of children or mothers. And I find this immoral and almost, in a sense, irredeemable. Like, once you've done something like that, you are a genuinely vile human being. Moving on to more reasons, there is obviously just, people don't want to be pregnant, and that's perfectly alright, actually. Like, I don't see any issue with it, and you shouldn't either. It's a painful process, and not everyone is prepared for such a level of responsibility. Not to mention, there's also not every not every woman is up to the task. I mean, some are unfortunately teenagers, and at other times, people just might not want to be pregnant. There's obviously more, such as people being too old to be to give birth, and, well, for that I say, well, what did you expect? That's just natural. Like, why are you discriminating against someone for being too old to give birth? Like, come on, you're being pathetic if you genuinely do that. To obviously, there's so many more reasons to why the birth rate is lowering, but it's mainly because of the economy in the USA. Like, there is no American economy, because that economy does not belong to the citizens of the USA. It belongs to the government. People who simply have too much money and are unwilling to share it equally. Not to these genuinely sick people who shouldn't be in office and think it's funny to post jokes about deporting people on TikTok, which is a genuinely pathetic move to do. You've got to be really sick in the head to think there's anything wrong with someone being an immigrant. And moreover, it's just, you can't just, do shit like, oh, well, I've paid you $30. Now have a child, even though you'll be charged hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. It just doesn't work that way. The trade-off isn't fair, and let me put it this way. I don't think the USA has the potential to last 30 more years with the way their economy is going. It shouldn't be possible for a single person to amass more than $700 billion. And in America, it just shouldn't be like that. That's a sign that your economy is failing and hyperinflation is taking over. But that is the entire video. Sorry if I sounded nervous. This is my first time properly posting long form content. Bye, and I really hope I get to see you guys again later on.